And we're live. Welcome back, everybody, to another exciting episode of Blazing Banter with your host, Fire Steve. Podcast where we talk about some fire stuff, some social media stuff, some blue collar stuff, and whatever my guest wants to talk about this week. And on today's episode, we have a very, very special guest, somebody that I haven't talked to a whole lot in the last while, but we used to talk a lot. Mr. Super Sower Punch.
Hello.
Welcome in. I'm chasing another mosquito now.
Those darn mosquitoes, they're everywhere, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. They're I know right before we went, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this mosquito, and I got him. I think anyway. And then another one came out. Oh well, whatever. The joys of working out in the bush.
Yes. Exactly.
So how you been, Corey?
I've been good.
Excellent.
I've been good. Staying busy, working a lot, doing a lot of streams still. So I've been keeping myself busy.
That's exciting.
Yes. Very exciting.
Well, we've been talking about doing a podcast together for a while. Even like when I was part of my prior podcast, you're like, oh yeah, like, because we, you helped promote that on your Discord server and on your Twitch streams as well. And then, fast forward, well, we're almost 2 years later, a year and a half, 2 years. No, almost 2 years later now. It's been a little while because I intended to do this a lot sooner, but life and like we're talking, things are busy and we have so many hours in the day.
Yes. Yep. Only 24.
Only 24. And the darn sleep just gets in the way.
Yes, that darn sleep. But sleep seems to avoid me lately, to be honest.
You know what that is? We're getting older.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's one of the things I feel like as you get older, you don't sleep as much. You're thinking of everything out and about, and all the stresses of life get to you, and you're like, oh crap, I better get up because I have this to do, or you lay awake at night.
100% tossing and turning, and there's been many nights like that, for sure, countless.
I don't know if this was like a thing years past, like when our parents and grandparents and stuff like that were living life. Like, is this a new problem, or is this something that, is it just to our generations because of all the technology and all, just the way life is now? We're not out, tilling the fields as much anymore. We're, sitting at a desk and we're working on computer stuff, or we're a lot more technological than we are labor intensive.
Yeah, I do think that that's probably part of it. Absolutely. They always say that, too much screen time is bad for you, but I mean, hell, I kind of experience it right now, man.
As we're sitting in front of the screen chit-chatting.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's like anything in life. I think it's all about balance. And that's where, like, as I find too, like I'm really pushing myself to get back into training mode, which I've been diligent here the last few days. Because I did the Morinville Combat Challenge back in June, which I basically started prepping for months in advance. And then my goal was, okay, I'll take a month off and then get back into training because I'm up for a fire fit competition here at the end of August.
Okay, cool.
But then, a month turned into a month and a half. Like I was like, hey, mid-July, I'm buckling down and getting back into training mode. Well, here we are, a week into August, and I'm like, shit, I'm just getting back into it. But I don't feel like I've lost all my results from before, but it's just trying to get back into that rhythm, because if I wait till a week before, it's gonna be like, it's gonna suck.
Oh yeah, definitely. You gotta stay on top of it.
Well, and that's the thing. I feel a lot better when I do it too. Like, and that's one thing I noticed, especially trying to balance out the screen time and everything. But once again, it gets back into like, there's only so many hours in a day. How does we can't, we got to work. We got family commitments. We have online commitments, and dare I say commitments, but once you go down the rabbit hole, and kind of what we're going to talk about tonight is you do have you have an audience, you have people that come to see you, and you're part of their weekly routine. So
Yes.
then it's keeping up with that. So we have that, and then you got to exercise, and you got to eat X amount of meals, and you got to drink all the water. It's like, where's all the time for it?
Yeah, exactly. There's never enough. Never enough time in a day to get everything done.
So speaking of streaming and stuff like that, now a lot of my audiences come to know me from TikTok, and I've been on that doing that about 3 years now. But you got into the social media thing a lot, like before I even dreamt of doing this, because you've been on Twitch for how long now?
Since December of 2020.
Okay.
So
Okay.
up on
Yeah.
4 years. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember watching your journey, and I guess to the rest of the listeners out there that don't know Corey, we grew up together. Like we were hanging out all the time from grade 6 on. We were freaking grade 6 until basically you moved, and we got busy with adult life, family, I had kids, and your career advanced, and then you got married, and like life happens, but it's still neat being able to see your friends' accomplishments. Even though we don't talk all the time, you can still see things from the sidelines, or you can still see what people are doing. And man, I've been super proud of you, especially when you you were growing your Twitch channel, and you got into affiliate and then partner. Like watching you grow was pretty sweet to see.
Oh no, I'm not partner yet.
Oh,
I'm
not yet.
No. Partner's a longer grind than affiliate. A lot more work. But nowadays it seems like reaching partner doesn't really matter anymore, because there's a lot of people out there that cheat the system to earn partner. And so nowadays, like I don't really care about hitting partner. It's just more about building my community and building connections with people and building that audience on top of that. And that's the main reason why I do it, and do it now opposed to when I started. So yeah.
Well, I think when we start our journey, everybody starts things for a different reason. And that's the thing. I started my Twitch channel a while ago, kind of like when I was thinking about doing the podcast, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I didn't, and then I did some stuff, like I've done some streams on there, but I think I'm sitting at a whole 35, 40. No, not even. I'm I think I'm maybe 30 subs, or not even subs, just people who are following me on Twitch.
Followers. Yeah,
just followers at this point, because I haven't really, once again, it's only so much time. And I think eventually at some point, because I've got the podcast set up to live stream, so at some point there will be some live streams doing a podcast on there, but also to when I'm gaming. But I feel like since summer's come along and training and all that, I kind of fell off with gaming, and I kind of went back into just being busy with my other stuff. And it's like, well, when I have a bit more time, then I'll focus in. And that's where someone such as yourself, who knows the Twitch platform really well, and it's all about helping each other out and figuring out what works and what doesn't. And
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
because that was the thing with because like I said, I didn't know what the difference between affiliate, partner. I've seen the terms when I was kind of Googling it, but there's only so much stuff I've learned on there. And I'm working on now I finally got a better laptop to do some gaming stuff with. But up until now, it's just been doing it on a console.
Oh yeah. And everybody starts somewhere. I started on a console, and it just went from there. I eventually got a laptop and a capture card soon after that, and one thing led to another, and then I eventually got a PC and my own internet connection in the basement, and just it's pretty much turned into a business but not a business type of thing. It's like I don't claim anything on my taxes or anything. It's just I just do it for the pure fun and pure energy, right? So it's always a good time for sure.
What got you into it in the first place? Like, what was the first thing that kind of drew you to, and the Twitch platform itself? Like, what was that spark that you're like, this is what I want to do, or this is what I want to try out?
So what drew me to Twitch is that it's a smaller platform opposed to YouTube, and I thought it'd just be a nice starting point. But the main reason that I decided to start streaming was, it was the first year of the pandemic. That year, my hours were cut, and I mean, I eventually got my hours back, and but that was just that worry that that something, that it could happen again.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of want something to kind of fall back on. So realistically, the main reason why was money, right?
Yep.
Because everybody was always strapped for cash or whatever at that point in time, and including myself. And I was just like, I'll just, I'll just create a Twitch account, see what the platform is like. I'll check out a few streams, really think on it about whether I want to go through this or not. And, just one night in the end of the year, I just decided to do a stream with no mic, no camera, and see how it went. And then I was like, holy crap, I actually got 3 viewers that night. So it was like, yeah, let's go. So it just took off from there. And then I got the email saying, okay, welcome to Twitch. Congratulations on your first stream. Here are, the goals for reaching affiliate if you choose to do so. So I was like, heck yeah, I'm gonna go for this affiliation. And probably about a month and a half into it, I got it. So
Nice.
yeah, that was a huge achievement getting that, for
Well,
sure.
one thing I know, and probably where I got confused when I said partner earlier, because I remember your Facebook post when you said you got affiliate. I think it's when you hit 1,000
Oh
followers.
yeah.
I think that's probably where I confused it. But
Okay.
I remember that as well. Like, so with you hit affiliate, and then how long did it take you to? Well, I guess we'll backtrack a little bit. What was your next milestone? Like, you hit affiliate. What was going through your mind? Where was the?
Uh, just earn subscribers. So I just uh first set my first goal at like let's reach 15 subs and I'll wear a dress on stream. Yeah. So I eventually did hit that goal and did wear a dress on stream, but and after that, it was just, just trying to meet people pretty much. And
I think everybody's wondering what color was the dress.
it was pink, and I
There you
wore a
go.
wig too. I wore a wig
Oh,
too.
oh, you were really, really playing it up.
The wig was blue.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're going all ooh girl on everybody.
yeah, yeah. But after all of that, I kind of met a few more people, and then I was kind of like I wouldn't say misled, but kind of taken into a direction to help others reach affiliation. So like I was a part of this Discord community, and they set up a raid train. And essentially what that is that it would start early in the morning and go all day till like midnight or whatever. And we'd be basically just streaming. And then when you're ending your stream, you send a raid over to the next person, and it'd be like 1 hour streams or whatever. And
Okay.
then the whole thing would process, right? So problem with that is like a lot of coordination needs to be taken into place, and just making sure that people show up for their streams, and if they need to cancel for whatever reason, we got to make sure that we fill that spot, uh, and that's that sort of thing. And by doing all that, that community. I'm actually still part of it, but it's not as active anymore. But we helped over 200 people reach affiliation in about a year or so, and yeah, I still help people reach affiliation on my own, pretty much still.
Well,
yeah.
And that's amazing. And that's the thing. It's helping people out and collaborating. And that's one thing that's, it doesn't take much effort to help boost somebody up. And that's something I'm appreciative too. So I would say at least 10 of the people that I have following me on Twitch right now is because of you, if not more. Just basically me popping in your streams, being like, hey, there's Fire Steve, give him a follow, or we can check him out. He's got some pretty good stuff. Most of it's on TikTok, but go check him out. And likewise, and that was the one thing we kind of talked about leading up even to this podcast was, building each other up, and because we're in two separate worlds, two different sides of social media where I've kind of gained my following on TikTok and used that to kind of springboard to other places, as many people do, and vice versa. You're doing the Twitch thing, and it's like, okay, now I want to try and build up my TikTok, and helping each other out with that, and just saying, okay, this is how we do it. And that's one thing I love about social media is the collaboration. I mentioned it on, I'm going to say last week's episode. Technically it was we're recording this, we're posting, this is getting posted in the future, but we're speaking from a week ago. Everybody who's listening in the audience, but that's one thing I've said and maintained lots of times, like with making content, anything that I can do to collaborate with other people. And a lot of times I'm not doing it with people in real life. And actually even times when I've done meetups with people, making content's usually the last thing that we think about, because I just want to kind of have that face-to-face interaction. But ultimately with that too is like videos, like taking something that they've made and then adding your own spin to it, and then watching it go back and forth, or just content where people can get an idea and build off of it. And I think it's so amazing.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I really like to, like, for me myself, I like to learn to make videos like yours. Right now I'm just posting clips and adding stickers and whatever, and but they're still pretty decent clips. Like I don't mind them. But I would like to make more videos like you're putting it out, like the stitches and all that kind of stuff, right?
We all start someplace, and that's the biggest thing I think people forget. Like, we don't, and I even too, I look back on some of my original content, because like on TikTok they do this on this day thing. After you posted stuff for over a year, stuff from the prior year or years will pop up, and you can just repost it. It makes it nice and easy for quick content if you want to post that day and you don't have anything to put up. But the cool thing with that too is, like I said, I see some videos that I posted 3 years ago, some of my like talking videos, and it's like, crap, like I'm so stiff and like awkward, like I don't have that loose feeling, because it's awkward talking to yourself, essentially. I mean, you're talking to people. I mean, there's two different medias, there's two different ways to look at that. When you're making videos, you're just talking in front of a camera, and you're watching the clips and you're playing them back, and I'm a perfectionist, so I go back and just make sure everything is tweaked just right. And a 15-second video doesn't take me 15 seconds. Very rarely. I think I've had it happen maybe once or twice where I've recorded, boom, I like it, post. Most of the times it's like, no, I want to move my hand this way, I want to do this sort of thing, like, so then I get very meticulous with it. The second thing is talking to an audience on a live stream, which is another thing in itself, because you're essentially sitting in a room by yourself, not talking to anyone, but you got people popping up in the chat, you got people viewing, so you got to engage with that. And it's when you I remember my first lives on TikTok, is at that point you needed 1,000 followers in order to even think about going live. Like, they had limitations on it. So at that point, I hit the grind. As soon as I found out it was a thing, I worked my butt off to make sure I hit 1,000, because that was the big thing I was pushing towards. Is I want to go live. I want to chat with people from around the world. This is pretty cool. This is neat and interesting. So then I pushed it. I did it. And most of the times I was just like popping into other people's lives as a guest. And then one day I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to do my own. So then I did my own. And then what the hell do I talk about? There's people popping up saying, hey, what's going on? And you're like, well, I'm existing.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been in those positions before, even in the early days when I had like absolutely nobody coming into my streams at all. I'd just be sitting there and I'd just be talking about the game, or I'd be playing, or just be talking about how my day has been and what I got planned for the weekend, or whatever the case may be, and just keeping the conversation open, so just in case that somebody happens to pop in and happens to say something, and maybe they have something in common with you that you're talking about to yourself, right? So one thing about streaming I learned is that like, you really don't know what could happen once you hit that go live button. Everything is so unpredictable that anything could happen, anything positive and anything negative. And yeah, it's just, you just gotta have the mental ability to accept that, just pretty much just sit back and just kind of just let it all happen and just absorb it in. And yeah, so that's one big thing I learned for sure.
Well, it's also same here, because you get people popping through, and it's a little bit of different dynamic, because even on Twitch I find I'll get the odd, like, people wander through, and it's kind of like when it's like somebody's running past you, in a park, and it's like you're trying, hey, how's it going? Oh, they're gone. Hey, hey, how are you?
Yeah, right.
Can I talk to you about your car's extended warranty? No? Okay. So,
right.
it's tried to be captivating enough, but also too, it's when you first start out, it's tough, because how do you do it? You don't know what people are interested in. You're trying to find your way about it. It's like, I don't know what people engage with, and I can't figure that out if I don't have an audience to gauge anything off of.
Yeah.
And that's, usually when you're face to face with somebody, you can read visual cues, you can hear the verbal cues, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Through a text box, you don't know, you don't know if people are entertained, and you're just hoping that people are going to type something to let you know. It's like, okay, more comments is hopefully a good thing. Sometimes it can be a bad thing, depending on the nature of the comments popping up.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
trying to figure that out. Like, so how long did it take you to where you were comfortable just existing in front of the camera? Because I feel some people learn it quicker than others.
Pretty quickly, I would think. For a little while, I didn't run with a camera. I think maybe 2 weeks without a camera after starting up. Yeah, I ended up getting just a PlayStation camera, and then just hooked it up and ran with that for a long time. But getting used to the close up, because like the PlayStation was on my TV upstairs, and I was sitting away from it at a pretty good distance, right? So getting used to the camera being right there now is a big difference. I think getting used to that one took me a little bit longer than back when I started, because it's right there.
Well, it's up close and personal, and we can't hide. That's the thing too. Like, sometimes it's like, okay, where can we mask behind? What can we do to distract?
Right. And I didn't want it to be too far away, so it was like it just makes sense to have it up close and just gotta deal with it.
well, because let me know what you think on it. I think the big thing is people want to interact, but also too, they want to see a person. And that's the biggest thing, is people want to, feel like they're engaged. So if you're too far away, if you're sitting like across the room, okay, they can see your outline, they can hear you, but they can't see your facial expressions. They don't get a feel of who you are, what you're doing. It's not as personal. It's like, okay, I'm seeing this grainy image of a person, yeah, I can hear you
Mm-hmm.
talk. And if you're talking about interesting things, you know, they'll stick around in the chat. But I think the other part of it too is people seeing that emotion, seeing that either whether it be, you know, happiness, joy, frustration, anger,
Yeah.
freaking excitement, whatever it may be, you know, seeing that on a person's
Mm-hmm.
face, like, hey, I freaking, you know, I got an awesome snipe, and I took somebody out
Yes.
that, you know, I died like 4 times, and then finally I'm, you know, gaining some traction here, and then people are like, yeah, let's go, you know, you're doing great, let's keep, you know, it's kind of cheering
Mm-hmm.
you on.
Yes, it creates a whole bunch of hype. That's definitely what it does for sure. Gets everybody's hearts racing and everybody pulling for you to, you know, for you to succeed.
It gets the people going. And
Yes.
and speaking about hype, I'm just gonna plug the podcast real quick. So for everybody checking this out, whether you're listening or watching it on YouTube, listening to it on Apple, Spotify, whatever platform you're checking us out on, be sure to smash the like button, turn on notifications so you know when we post a new episode. Any engagement, all this kind of stuff, it helps boost the page and gets the podcast heard by some other people. So any fun comments, anything like that, throw it down. And if you can think of anyone who enjoys listening to some of this witty banter or this back and forth type stuff, share it out to them.
Hell
But
yeah.
yeah, it's like, you know, going back to the whole hype thing or going live, I think that you see a lot of people, you know, doing, whether it be gaming or different types of things, different activities. Because sometimes I think we need to find something to distract ourselves from. Sitting in front of a camera and just talking is the toughest thing a person can do, especially when you don't have a person beside you to like talk to.
Yeah.
So that's where, you know, gaming streams work really well, because you play your game and then you engage with the people as they come through. On TikTok, I didn't have that. You weren't there for this era of me being on there. It was when I first started going live, you know, at times I'd be like, I don't know, like if I got nothing to talk about or it'd be really quiet, what the hell do I do? How do I deal with this like quietness? And because I wasn't gaming, like usually I'd be like working on office work or I'd be tinkering with something.
Yeah.
But what I found, I did a lot of prop type stuff. I ended up finding hats that I was playing around with, and then the one hat I had was a turkey hat, which it's here in camp with me. But I mean, I haven't put it on. I put it on very sparingly.
Yeah.
But it's got like the rooster head on it, and the freaking the turkey head would just bobble around, and I would just put music on, listen to music, and then I would just rock the turkey back and forth, and then people would be like, and then people were wondering what the hell I was doing. So then it's like, it kind of looks like you got a cock on your head. And then I'm like, it's a turkey. I would just, because it gave me something to do to like distract myself from being nervous, instead of being like, oh, hi, how's everyone's day? How are you? You know, it gave me something else to work with.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's good.
What's some of your go-to games? Like, what's your, I guess, what's more the genre? Do you have a specific, or you just kind of like play whatever you feel like?
Lately it's been a lot of Fortnite.
Okay.
I've been having a lot of fun with Fortnite. I've got a pretty good squad of people that I play with regularly. And most of the people that I interact with on Twitch and on Discord, you know, play Fortnite in some way or fashion. So it's definitely a good icebreaker, and I feel like it's a good networking tool in a way. It's a good way to build connections too, and just have some fun, you know. Get out there and just start blasting some mofos, you know. But I also like to do a lot of lately I've been playing a lot of other free games, like First Descendant. That's a new one. Once Human is another one. I try to keep the variety thing alive, but like, face it, I have a lot of fun with Fortnite, and lately it's bringing me the most consistent viewership I've had in a long time. And But yeah, I like to try out new games as they come out, games that kind of catch my interest or whatever. Like I played RoboCop. Um, didn't like it, but it was okay. But yeah, I like trying new things too, right? So the main focus is like Fortnite, but also new games, that kind of catch my attention, Yeah.
Sprinkling in a few here and there, trying this out. But I think
Yeah.
we like what we like, and we're gonna,
Yeah.
the thing is, we want to, try to bring some variety to our streams and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
at the end of the day, we're doing things that we enjoy to do.
Yes.
If the goal is to try to not make it feel like work, because if you get to a point where you're
Yes.
like, oh, freaking hell, I got to do this thing, and
Right.
I got to play a game that I don't really like, but I got to change it
Right.
up a little bit.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with doing the thing that we like to do, and
Mm.
honestly, there's so much variety out there.
Hmm.
If you can leverage it, I guess, to work for you, because I think that's the thing.
Hmm.
If you're too distracted with learning the game, you're not going to be as engaging in the conversation, and that's the other
Yes.
challenge with
Yes.
streaming too, is that you can kind of give us some insight into how you navigate your streams,
Yes. Yes.
because you're not only gaming, but you're also, and then if you're with a squad, so now you're talking to people on your team
Hmm.
as you're going about, and you're talking to people in the chat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Oh, that's another hurdle. I've been trying to do my best not to talk over people as they're talking, because there's I could be having a conversation with somebody and then switch to chat, and then the other three people could be talking amongst each other, and then I got like, oh crap, I gotta mute my headset so I can not hear them and hear myself talk to them, But yeah, it's tough sometimes.
do you have it set up to where, so you can just toggle it, like, to where you can kind of, the people you're gaming with can't hear what you're saying, and just to your Twitch stream independently?
If everybody was in my Discord, yeah, I could actually, by a press of a button, mute my entire Discord voice chat, and the people I play with won't be able to hear me, and I won't be able to hear them. So, but most of the time we've just been using game chat, and which is fine too. I'm okay with that most of the time. I would prefer it to be in Discord, but most people are just like, we'll just go into just do game chat. It's
It's
just
one
easier.
it's one less step in getting it,
Yes.
because then you gotta, like, set it up through Discord, go through the
Mm-hmm.
voice chat that way. Whereas if you're using the in-game chat, it's there. Whatever platform
Mm-hmm.
you're on, boom, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I'm not the kind of person to be like, oh, if you gotta play with us, you gotta join the Discord because we only use voice chat for Discord. Nah, I don't do that. I'm
It
more happier with just using the game chat, and whoever who wants to play, and and is eligible to play, we'll let them play for sure.
it opens it up a lot more, because if you put too many
Yes.
barriers, then it's like, here we go. I gotta. Some people just want to play a game, and I'm guilty
Yeah.
of that too. Like, I find now, especially because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this Twitch thing going, where I gotta stop myself a little bit. And I did it the other night because I finally fired up Call of Duty and I started playing, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna fire up a quick Twitch, maybe half an hour, jump
Mm-hmm.
on, play some games.
Mm-hmm.
I'll throw my TikTok on my phone, and
Mm-hmm.
then I'll just go with that. And usually what I try to do is, hey, people are popping into my TikTok live. Hey, if you want to see the gameplay, because I used to do it where I'd set up the camera on my phone because you could do
Yeah.
like kind of almost like a dual screen where it would show you and the screen.
Yeah.
Now I've kind of just went to the point. I'm like, okay, well, it'll be me full screen on TikTok. On Twitch, you'll see, like, because I've got my Logitech camera hooked up to the Xbox, so you can see me on there, but you'll see the gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
And then just trying to create that driving traffic to another platform from the platform that I'm already existing on.
Yeah.
So anyway, my Xbox, I hadn't used it in a while, so my Twitch, I got to re-hook it up, and I forgot the password to log in, and I was like, and it was midnight. I'm like, this is stupid. I'm like, whatever, I'm not even gonna play it. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, just get on, play a game for a bit, whether people are watching or not. Doesn't break your back. Go in and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And had a little bit of, I had some fun with it. It was fun to just run around and
Yeah.
let out that pent up aggression on the
Yeah.
battlefield.
Yeah, exactly. And I've had streams like that too, and it's just like I just go out there and I just played my ass off, right? Just doing like GTA 5 and just grinding, right? And just pushing really, really hard. And sure, chat is there, and I'm reading every message, right? And just going, and ended up having probably one of the best streams I've had. But I mean, that was 3 years ago. So, but there's been other nights like that for sure. I mean, last night was another banger, and I didn't really expect it at all. I was playing Fortnite with a buddy, and I was trying to help him get some quests done, and like within the first, I don't know, half hour, I probably had like 10 viewers, and like, and to me, 10 viewers within half an hour is pretty decent for sure. It helps my average out. I mean, not that it really matters. I'm not going for partner, but I'm trying to keep a consistent average of 10 viewers, and then it dropped down a little bit below that, but it's summertime and people are out doing their things, and it's always tough around this time of year. But it's school's back in the States for most people, so
Okay.
it seems like it's starting to turn around, and I think from last night, I think that's a good sign. So yeah.
Well, and you touched on an excellent point there too, because any social media, doesn't matter which one you're on, you're going to have that same effect. Like usually viewership or views drop on videos. Like you don't get as much engagement in the summertime because people are out living life. They're camping, they're traveling, they're doing their thing. Spending time with their families, whatever they need. Whatever they're doing. Especially if social media is a pastime, but it's not an integral part of their life. It's not something that they're really focused on. It's like, hey, I have some spare time. It's minus 30 outside. I'm not going out, in this weather. I'm going to sit on my couch and I'm going to scroll TikTok, or I'm going to scroll some Twitch streams, and I'm just going to hang out and watch some stuff, because that's what you got to think of human nature in general. And even I found that with like timing, like when I post videos on TikTok, I try to think, because a lot of my stuff is geared to Alberta. It's some of it's general, but I would say a lot of the stuff I post is, it's wildfire content talking about the Alberta stuff primarily. I talk about other areas, but primarily Alberta. Oil field. We got some in BC, Saskatchewan, across Canada and down in the States, but mostly an Alberta thing, because I make content on what I know. And it also geo pushes to your area. That's one thing, like with the way that algorithm works, is it kind of pushes to people that are kind of in your region. So you try to think, okay, what are people doing at set times? So if I post a video at 3 a.m., most people are sleeping. And in that first hour, it's very critical, because, that's where you kind of get that initial boost. If, you get good engagement on a video, then they're going to push it out to more people and more people and more people. So if you can hit it at a time that makes sense for the content you post in the area that you post it in, it will, it'll get to the eyeballs that need to see it, and then it'll push out to more people. And then once it gets to a certain point, it's going to everybody. Like it's just, they're sampling people around the world, different time zones. So then it doesn't really matter as much. But I find in those first initial stages, the only time it wouldn't matter is if you're posting something. I'm just going to pick up a random topic here. Talking about Paris, like traveling in Paris and some of the sites and stuff you can see in Paris. And I think I just picked it up because the Olympics are there right now. Not that I watch it. But the big thing there is, if you're posting stuff about that specific city, then you have to kind of plan that out for that time zone, because that's where, okay, most people who are going to be watching it are in that area. So that's kind of the whole, or what I've figured out on that. But and I don't know if that, if you see that with Twitch, or do you get people from all over the place, or do you get like, is it more
all over the place, man. All over the place. I'm talking uh like Europe and UK and Iceland and Alaska and oh man, Philippines. Gosh, so everywhere, man. Egypt, everywhere. It's crazy, and it's very rewarding at the same time. It's people from all over the world can just click on your link and see you and interact with you. It's just unbelievable, man. It's such a rewarding thing for sure.
It cooks the
And
brain a little bit, like just thinking of,
yes,
right, like the level of interaction we're having.
yes, and I mean, like my stream schedule, I usually promote myself in Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
So the majority of my followers are in Eastern Standard Time and everything beyond that. I don't have a whole lot of followers that are in the West, and that's kind of a little goal of mine is to potentially meet more people in the West. So kind of thinking about how to what's the word?
How to generate, like, kind of.
Yeah, generate traffic in those demographics, So, um, but overall, still thankful for my community and all the people that have followed me, all the people that have unfollowed me, subscribed. It means it's incredible. It's an incredible feeling, and it's coming from all over the world, and it's nothing like it for sure. And I bet they get the same thing, right? Like,
It, yeah, it's definitely a thing where sometimes you like, I try not, like, not that I try not to think about it. Sometimes I forget to think about, it's just like, okay, I'm at, when I hit 1,000
mm,
followers on TikTok. Okay, cool. Let's go for 2. Okay, I'm
mm-hmm,
at 2. Let's go for 5. And then let's
mm-hmm,
go for 10. Okay, I'm at 10. And it's always been like that thing of, you always set yourself a goal.
yeah,
And I find there's times when things are popping off and my account blows up. I've had a few instances where, like, I have a huge influx, but then there's times where it's pretty standard, and there's a
mm-hmm,
few people that follow you here and there, and like you
mm-hmm,
said, sometimes you lose followers, but I mean, there's bot accounts that will follow you and then they get
mm-hmm,
deactivated, and then it's par for the course.
yeah,
But this is one I remember watching a piece of content when I first started out, and it was basically talking about people who would get discouraged, especially on TikTok, because TikTok's one of those ones where you can absolutely, like, blow up, whereas the other platforms I find take more time to build. So with that, they're saying, okay, people get discouraged. Well, frick, I'm only at 1,000 people. I wish I don't know why I'm not bigger. Think about it in terms of an arena. So you're filling that many seats. Like, you're in a place and there's X amount of people. How big is the auditorium that you're in,
yeah,
that you're filling, based on the amount of followers or subscribers or anything of that nature that are following you on these platforms. And then you start thinking about it, it's like, holy crap, like, that's a big sample size, especially like with me at, so what, I got 47, well, almost 47 on 1,000 on TikTok now, and I think like 1,800 ish on Instagram, and a lot of
mm-hmm,
it is like cross driving, like you're pushing traffic for, okay, hey, I've got people here, hey, you should go
mm-hmm,
follow me over there.
mm-hmm,
To conversions, you get certain people that will, and that's where it goes back into, like you were talking about, your community. You start building that community, and the people that really appreciate what you do will follow you everywhere.
mm-hmm.
And super appreciative of the same thing myself. Like, I'm in awe and appreciative, because I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for the people hitting the like button on the videos, hitting the subscribe button,
Yeah,
because honestly, we're just people online doing our thing, and everybody gets on here for different reasons. And for myself, it was actually, I needed that mental health break. Like, I needed
yeah,
to do something and get out of my own head. And it gave me that outlet, which initially when I got on TikTok, it was nice because I was anonymous. Like nobody knew who I was. I was some random person online.
Mm-hmm.
I could talk about whatever I wanted to talk about. You know, should I have been more constructive in my mental health journey and actually like got the proper help or reached out to friends and stuff like that? Absolutely. But I think we got, you know, it gets to a point too where you're like, okay, I just need an outlet. And then I found like people that you jive with, and then it's like, cool, well, I'm gonna talk to these people because worst case scenario, if I embarrass myself, I can log off and nobody will know the wiser. Like nobody will ever, they don't know who I am from a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
Don't have that opportunity now. Especially when freaking it seems to be happening more frequently now. Like not to a crazy amount. It's not like I'm walking through a store and people are like, oh my god, it's Fire Steve. But it's there are instances where I'm walking, you know, I'm in places and they're like, hey. Or actually the funny thing. I don't know if this has happened. Well, I guess you don't have so many people like in your local area that have found you yet, but
no, not so much.
I did a live stream the other night. I was live on TikTok, and me and Vic were in IKEA the week before.
Okay.
And I had somebody come into the live stream. They're like, "Hey, this is gonna sound really weird. Were you in IKEA the other day?" And I'm like, maybe.
Really?
Yeah,
That's funny. My God, that's funny.
So
that's
that
so crazy.
It adds another layer to it. Like it adds a whole other layer to it. You're just like, okay, and you know, people know who I am on a grander scale. Like besides our, you know, our high school, you know, mutuals on Facebook and stuff like that. Like outside of our own circles.
Yeah.
FYI, I'm going to go on a tangent here. I think this will be a fun side quest for us. It's going to be our 20-year high school reunion next year.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, it'll be your 20-year because I didn't graduate till 2016, but officially. But
you're still fine.
Either way, our class. Remember the 10-year? Remember the 10-year reunion?
What 10-year? What 10-year reunion? What was this? Was I there?
Yeah. You were, yeah. You were there. I mean, there might have been some beverages involved for sure.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. Oh yeah, but no, that was a great time. That was an awesome time, and yeah, if it's happening, I'm definitely planning on going for sure. So
I think, well, I seen some rumblings online that there's something that in the works. So I guess we'll find some details, which will be funny too, because when we went before, and it's funny the farther we get out of high school, because I'll call it what it is. We were the nerds. We had our own little group. We were doing our thing, you know.
Yeah.
We weren't part of like the really big in crowd, but you find the further you get away from school, the less that matters. Like I found, like when we did the 10-year reunion, people that we wouldn't have never hung out with in school we're all just having a grand old time.
Yes. And I was like, holy crap, I can't believe I'm drinking with this, you know, buddy here who used to pick on me and bully me and all this and that. We're sitting there, we're talking about real life right now. It was mind blowing for sure. Yeah, it was a great experience going back there and seeing everybody, and everybody was so welcoming too, and you know, it's like, man, everybody just changed for the better, right? So yeah,
I agree. Yeah. I think we had like, that's how the experience was for me too. Like there was, at that point I had a very young family, and we had some of the girls who went to school with like, oh, let me take them, like let me take your boy, and you know, the kids were just tooling around and having fun. And even too, like later on when we we all camped out there kind of.
Oh, I did.
I know you did.
I slept in Salty's camper. He wasn't even there. It was open. It was wide open. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna fucking just go in here.
Well, then I remember you in the morning. I must have crashed. I must have crashed somewhere. But yeah, I think in the morning, because he was hooking up to the camper. He looked inside. He was like, "Stop, Corey! What are you doing in there?"
Yeah. Oh, I heard a noise, and that's what woke me up. This really loud noise. I'm like, oh shit, I better get up, right? So I come out of the trailer, and then I was like, yo, what's up, Salty? He was like, where the hell did you come from, Corey? I'm like, oh, I slept in your camper last night. Hope that's okay. Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry, I didn't do anything. I just slept in there.
Could you imagine if you would have drove away and you're like, holy crap.
Oh crap.
Gets back to his house, unpinning the camper. Here comes you wandering out. Hey.
Yeah. Hey.
I need a ride.
Yeah, ride back to the campground there, yeah.
But yeah,
oh man.
But even too, like thinking about some of this other stuff we've done. I mean, everybody's accomplished things, and that's the one thing, you know, we kind of look at things through the, I want to say through the looking glass. Yeah, maybe that's the right term. We're kind of like getting a side view of everybody's lives, or anybody like we still follow on our personal social medias.
Yeah.
And you see what people are doing. I mean, I don't really post shit on there anymore because I'm like, well, I'm here now.
Yeah, I recently just started opening my Facebook more often because I drifted away from Facebook for a very long time. I've been mainly focusing on Discord and Twitch for most of the time that I've been on Twitch, right? So I really drifted away from Facebook in that aspect, but coming back to it, and I think that was roughly around the time when I seen that post about the 20-year anniversary, and I was like, I guess I should pay attention to Facebook more often. I'm missing out on stuff.
Well, I guess for me, because I know I've had people I've met off TikTok and online try to add my personal one, and there's certain people I have, like people that I've actually developed friendships with.
Yeah.
Like outside, like legit, you know, the point people that I've gotten to know really well, that I've had phone conversations with, people that I'm, you know, happy to admit, say, hey, these are my friends, and these are people that I vibe with. Those are the ones that say, yeah, you have access to my real life. And it's not that we're not a real person online, but at the same time, you do have to create that divide. You have to say, okay, well, here's my public persona, or here's me over here, even though it's still me. But, you know, this stuff here, and especially like with myself and young kids and all that, I'm like, I don't want them exposed. Recently, though, I mean, Brooke came on the podcast. She was episode 4. So, yeah, she came on. We, because, you know, as she's getting older, we're like, okay, she's, you know, smart enough and knowledgeable enough. She's at the age where I know somebody's not just gonna, you know, somebody's not just gonna show up and be like, oh, hey, I'm a friend of your dad's, and, you know, she's gonna be like, oh, hey, you know, how do you? So, and she's gonna be getting to the point where she's gonna be starting to branch out to her own stuff. She's gonna be like, hey, you know, because kids all these days, you know, they've got social medias of their own. They're scrolling TikTok, they're scrolling Instagram, and we've kept our kids pretty much off that stuff for the most part because of just the fact we told them we can't control what you're going to see. And the problem is once you see something, you can't unsee it. And we told them, like, we don't, like, if you bring it up to us and we feel it's appropriate, yeah, we'll absolutely let you watch it. But we didn't give them unabated access. But at the same time too, it's like, okay, my friends are doing whatever they want, and then it's like, why can't I do a thing?
Right.
So we're just like, okay, once you get to a certain age, and that's what the thing we did with Brooke. So, you know, we had a conversation with her, and that was the big thing, you know, are you comfortable with this? Because she even kicked around the idea of, she actually, it was this really spicy Bean Boozled thing that we did, like, we did this challenge on the podcast.
Yeah.
And she wanted to do this thing, and I was like, we kind of kicked around the idea of doing it on, like, the podcast, and she's like, yeah, because we've done live streams with her, like, costumed up and not mentioning her name. But yeah, we did that, and we just said, okay, well, here's the thing. Your face is going to be out there forever now. Like, this is going on in the internet, you know, and even if I pull it down for whatever reason, not to say that there isn't a copy of it someplace. Like, once you put something out there, it's out there. You know, the horse has left the gate in that, in that essence. So, but it's happy to see, because she's very, very creative. She likes making videos and participating. Like, she's done so many, like, parodies of me playing as, like, Danny Fire Steve.
Yeah, I've seen some of those. Yeah.
So funny. That was, and that she loves doing that stuff. So
that's great.
Once again, yeah. So at that point, like, now she's kind of publicized, if we're going to call it anything. But, the younger two, not yet. Once they get to that same age, then we'll say, okay, they can make their decision for themselves. I'm not just going to assume that, hey, just because, you're a teenager now, you want to do this. It's like, do you want to, be publicized? If not, I'm not forcing it on my kids. I'm not going to use them as content or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if they want to participate, that's completely on them. But yeah, so anyway, that's why I keep my personal stuff locked down and separate from the public.
Yeah. See, I kind of like, befriended somebody on Twitch, and or the relationship I had with the person didn't go well. We had a falling out, and at that point in time, I was like, "Hey, I'm just gonna unfriend you on Facebook because that's not really needed anyway." I thought it was kind of weird that at the start when she asked for a friend request, I was like, "Okay, I mean, sure, whatever." She was a moderator for my stream, and just things just kind of just went south. That was about a year ago.
And it does happen, and that's where I always caution people when we do this online stuff, is that we don't. I think the problem is with certain platforms, and I'll use TikTok, Facebook's another one. Those are the two main ones where when you're mutually following somebody, they follow you, you follow them back. It's like, oh, now you're friends. And some people take that to the bank. They're like, oh, well, we are friends. And it's like, I don't know you. I like you. I like having conversations with you. But ultimately, when I really hone down to friendship, I look at it being like, would I invite you over for Thanksgiving dinner? Would I invite you over for my birthday? There's people I can be friendly with. And I know some people get their nose at a joint with that kind of thing. They're like, because I've had people be like, well, I sent you a friend request on Facebook here. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine and dandy, but you can get a hold of me. Like, you have not unabated access, but you've got access to me on my public stuff. You can send me a message on TikTok, Instagram. You can comment on my stuff. You can see what I'm doing. You don't need to see everything unless you get to that stage where I'm like, hey, I really enjoy your company. We've laughed together and then sometimes cried together. Some of the people that, have been very helpful and, helped me work through some things. But the thing is, we still have to be careful because, things do go sideways. And case in point, my previous podcast, I'm not going to really get into it, but me and him had a falling out. We were, building up this whole, we went hard and fast into a friendship that we thought was like, oh, well, and I think it was a lot of fueled up by the audience. Like, oh, well, you guys are so much alike and you're funny. You guys should be the best of friends. And we're like, yeah, totally. Like, I think this is a cool interaction. And then it just kind of went, we didn't take that time to really get to know each other's personalities. And then we had so many irons in the fire. And then just when things exploded, it freaking went catastrophic.
Okay.
So that's where that kind of went with that whole thing. I mean, he's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing, and that's ultimately. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But at the time, it was like a bad breakup.
Yeah. Kind of the same in my situation too. Yeah.
Well, and like you said, even like the whole moderator thing, because I feel like, because I was a moderator in his lives, he was a moderator in mine. Like we were really, but all of our stuff was based off of our friendship wasn't based off us as individuals, like as me as Steven and him as him.
Right.
It was based off of Fire Steve and Mr. D. So that's ultimately what happened there is we based something off of our online personas, which is rooted in our own person. But the thing is, we didn't really, get to know each other on that personal level besides just content and social media stuff in general. And that's where that kind of went sideways. And, ultimately, that's where there's kind of that dark side, I guess, that we have to be careful of. And that's where I always tell people, like, baby steps, get to know someone and, do you really know this person, or do you just like, have you had some good, because that's the thing, I've had amazing conversations with lots of people on live streams, but it's people that I would never hang out with in real life.
Right. Right. I feel the same way. There's definitely a lot of people that I wouldn't hang out with, right? But there's a lot of people that I probably would. And most of those people are people of my community and that I talk to regularly and that I visit their streams regularly. And it's just, just another friend and then be like, hey, what I have had a conversation with one of my buddies in Buffalo, and I told him like whenever we decide to go to Niagara Falls, I'm gonna cross over the border and I'm gonna come and see you. And he was
Nice.
like, "You do it, man. I'm like 20 minutes away from the falls. I can't cross the border, but I can't wait to see you." And it's like, "Oh, okay, sweet." So, yeah, it's making plans like that is awesome for sure.
It's fun, and like I've used this analogy lots, and I feel like I've used it on many podcasts of people who've listened to this before. I look at it like a target, like a bullseye. You think of
Yeah.
you got rings, and on the out,
Hmm.
in the innermost circle, you've got your true or your friend or sorry your family, whether it's your wife, significant other, husband, what people that
Yeah.
are your kids, the people that are in the core. Like these are the people that you're with no matter what. And then the
Hmm.
next ring are your really good friends. People that are there for you no matter what. People that will drop what they're doing to come help you out. And
Hmm.
FYI, even though like I know we don't talk a whole hell of a lot, you're still in that tight circle. Like if you phone me up tomorrow and you're like, dude, I'm not doing okay, I'm dropping what I'm doing to,
Hmm.
help you out through that. And I know I the same way.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
And then the next circle is like you got your friends, you get your good friends, and maybe that's people that you really vibe with. They're not that
Yeah.
super tight, but you're hanging, you're going golfing on weekends, you're going camping together, and then beyond that, you've got your acquaintances, your good acquaintances, people that you work with that you enjoy. Maybe don't spend a whole lot of time together. Maybe go for a beer here and there, or maybe go for a coffee. It kind of gets to that level. And then you've got your just general acquaintances, people people you wave to. You don't. They're a part of your life, but not really like a fixture in your life. And then you
Yeah.
got people that you just know. You got people kind of on the outskirts, and online stuff is interesting because it's like where do people fit in that? And I think most people
Hmm.
automatically think that we're friends because we've talked online, and it takes time to forge a friendship. It takes time to forge any relationship.
Hmm. Yes, absolutely. And I've seen it happen to so many people that would just take things the wrong way and just go to such extremes and just to get what they want, just to have an interaction with someone.
Well, and that's the thing, like it opens up the door so much. Like because
Hmm.
like you said, we're part of this global community,
Yes.
but we're literally seeing people from all over the place. And
Yes.
growing up in a small town, you kind of get to know the people, and we've often
Yeah.
Simpsons characters. You have people that you see around doing all the jobs, or you see them in places all the time. But you
Hmm.
can kind of figure out, okay, well, this person's like this person's like that. Hey, I think and then you get to know people through. Most of it had to do through school or through work or whatever. But now
Yeah.
we're interacting with people worldwide, but we don't know people's backstories. We don't know how their upbringing was. I mean, we it was that thing of like I'd be talking to my grandpa about, oh, I got this friend. Oh, well, who are they? Who's their parents? Who's their
Yeah.
grandparents? Or who's their oh, it's so and so. Oh yeah, I know so and so. Okay, yeah, no, they're and that's you'd almost kind of get a gauge based off of like relationships that you already had to be like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. And it's kind of the same way with streaming too, because you will pop into someone's chat that you never been in before, but you know that person through either it be someone else's stream, whether you met someone in their chat or other platforms such as TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and all this other stuff. So yeah, it's pretty wild that, you know, like I said, anything could really happen. You know, you can meet someone new and just like that, right? And it could be just word of mouth too, right? So there'd be a few times that I was put on the recommended page for certain games, and someone that I'd never interacted with before comes in, decides to drop a follow. Hey, where are you? You know, thanks for the follow. You know, how'd you find the channel? Oh, I seen you on the recommended when I searched up Fortnite or Hitman or GTA or whatever the case may be, right? I was like, oh, sweet man, thank you so much for the follow. It's like that's that's freaking amazing because, like, you know, because people are seeing you, right? At least, you know, had that happen to me a couple of times when at least 3 people have came in and say, hey, we've seen you from the recommended page. You know,
Well,
looks like the stream is going good, so we'll hang out, right? So, and eventually, like, they'll stick around. Maybe they'll join the community, maybe not. You know, this is it is what it is.
it's validation for what you're doing, because that's the thing. Like if you get told, hey, we found you because you were suggested because of just a game you're playing alone, it's like, well, I must be doing something right. You know, it gives you that, you know, it gives you that little encouragement, that little boost to be like, hey, well, freaking, it's going well. Even sometimes too, where you're like, I don't think it's going so well. Like I didn't really plan on it popping off tonight, but hey, I guess we're doing it.
Oh yeah, there've been many nights when, you know, I feel like absolute garbage, man, and you know, I would start streaming not expecting a damn thing, and it'd be just popping off, you know, people dropping subs and people dropping biddies and people rating me with 5, 6, 10, 15 people, and now the stream is blown up to have like 40 people in chat. It's crazy. And it's like, man, like I was having such like the shittiest day today and this happens. Like you know, that's incredible. You know, you feel so much better once you know, raid out and finish your stream, right? So
Well, sometimes
yeah.
you just you sit there after it's all said and done. You're like, you know, you hit the end stream button. You're sitting there and you take your headphones off. You're like, wow, that went different. Like that, you can almost get that euphoric feeling a little bit when things go really well. And I've had it happen where you get some where you're just like, whatever, I'm gonna go live and see what happens. There's sometimes too where you go live and thinking, okay, yeah, I'm gonna, you know, after I post a video, okay, hopefully this will, you know, generate some traffic and generate some people coming in. And then it's like, yeah, you get a few people coming through, and oftentimes like what I'll gauge it off of is interaction. And I've said this, I don't know if I've said it on the podcast, but I feel like I mentioned it before, is that, you know, if there's people commenting, you know, I'm there to interact. I've seen creators on TikTok get mad, oh, there's only 5 people in here, even if those people are actively chatting, and they're like, yeah, there's not enough people in here. I'm that's it. I'm shutting it down.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, if you were, you know, hey, you got plans, you got stuff to do, you got, you know, it's end of the day, or you know, it's time to go to bed. By all means, don't stay up, and you know, and I think people will understand that. But when you're actively being like, well, there's not enough people that make it worth me being live. Well, I think I don't say you're doing it for the wrong reasons, but I think it's kind of people have to decide, well, why am I following this person, or why am I paying attention to them? Because I feel there's some people that will go on and they'll get part on this, especially on TikTok. I find there's a lot of people that they're there to just monetize and go live battles and that sort of thing. It's something I haven't really gone into because, hey, like, and we kind of mentioned it at the beginning of the podcast. I think, you know, the goal is, hey, as you grow, you want to be able to monetize in some way, shape, or form because, hey, you're putting the work in. You're still grinding it out.
Yeah.
And I always say, as long as people are transparent about it, and if people are like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and I've seen creators this is what they're there to do. They're there to make money, and all I'm doing is on here, and hopefully people give me gifts, and that's all I'm here for. Cool, you're straightforward about it, and then people have to make the decision for themselves to be like, is this the type of person that I want to give my time and money to? And if it is cool, by all means, freaking, we're all
Yeah.
adults. We can all do our thing. It's the ones that are be like, oh, yeah, I want you to be part of my community. But the only reason why they're part of that community is because, like, once the money dries up, then the attention is like, well, yeah, you're kind of irrelevant. And that's the one nice thing, like, seeing your stuff, you interact with everybody. Like, that's not the type of creator that me or you are. Is, we interact with people, whether they're dropping biddies or dropping subs, or if they're just there to hang out in general.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm more happy when people just take the time and just come by my streams, right? And it's like, time is such a valuable thing, and for the people that have spent time in my streams, they'll never get that time back, and that's one thing I'm forever thankful for. Absolutely, is people actually taking the time and coming out to the streams and hanging out with me, hanging out with my chat, hanging out with my squad if I'm playing with a squad, right? So that's the main thing is people's time. That's a gift that is unmatchable.
It's
in my opinion.
It's a mutually beneficial thing, I find, with this whole creator space or streamer space, is that we're putting entertainment out there, and basically the exchanges people will hitting that follow button or like. I mean, as trivial as that seems, and sometimes people are like, okay, cool. Like, most people won't think twice about it. Hey, I like you. Okay, cool. I'm gonna hit this button. But it is super appreciative because it's a conglomeration of people hitting that button that gets us to the point that we're at now. Because if people didn't hit it, hit the follow, hit the like, help boost and engage things, and basically, and it seems like such a small, trivial interaction, but the appreciation from our sides is like, hey, it's super appreciated that you felt that I was entertaining enough for you to give me your time. That speaks volumes. And then, it gets to the point too over time where people are like, no, I'm getting a lot of entertainment out of this. And I remember at one point, I was spending quite a bit on like live gifts and stuff. Like, I would, gift people as I would go through lives myself on TikTok. And I'm like, yeah, this is getting to be a little much or whatever. It wasn't not like it went crazy with it, and Vic put it into perspective. She's like, well, you're not going out to the bar, you're not partying, you're not, you don't have a whole bunch of other hobbies now besides the social media thing. She's like, before, what would you be doing with that money? Like, maybe you're going to be going out and renting a movie. That's going to cost money. Yeah. You're going to be, paying for a cover charge at a bar or whatever, because they have a DJ playing that night in a big red truck. I knew I was going to sneak that in someplace. I didn't know where I was going to sneak it in. I was like, I seen that opportunity, and I'm like, I can go for it.
this son of a bitch.
Oh yeah. DJ Twitch going hard.
I tell my boss about truckers all the time. He was there, and he's originally from Ontario, but he lives and works down here. And obviously, right, he's my boss now, but he worked for Clean Harbors before coming to where I work now. So he's been there. He knows the truck.
Anybody who's been through Lac La Biche pre-2018, I think I think pre-2018, it was pretty much on its last legs. I remember I went in there, Vic and the kids were out of town, and I got home. I think it was at work, and they were at the in-laws. I got home, there's nothing much to do at home. This is before I was doing any of this online stuff. So it's like, I could watch YouTube, I could put a movie on. I'm gonna go throw $20 in the VLT, have a beer. Just kind of kill an hour type deal. And I walked into Truckers, and they had a DJ playing that night. You were long gone at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had a DJ playing at a $10 cover charge. I remember looking at the girl at the front. It was dead in there. Like, the balancers were playing pool. It was that dead in there. So I look at her and I'm like, cover? And she's like, Yeah. They're like, okay. So then I walked out and I went to the Almac.
Yeah.
Did the same thing over there, and that was pretty much it. I went through $20 in. I think I won a little bit, then I lost, and then I don't even think I walked. I think I threw it in, played a bit, had my beer, called it a night.
Is Truckers even open still? Like, I remember hearing rumblings that they reopened it for
briefly,
like a weekend or something.
I think no, it was open for I think a month. Like they originally
month?
opened and they were kind of hyping it up, like so they had their opening weekend and they had it going for a bit, but it didn't. It didn't last long. Nobody goes out anymore. Like that's the thing. It wasn't like when we were, I want to say growing up, like when we were young adults, you know, going out, you know, whether it was back in the day with Cheetahs and then before Le Bones was a thing and Truckers and you know that well freaking didn't help that we were living down the street from the bar.
No. Oh my god. Good times so. Some good times.
Sometimes you'll sit there and you think back on some of the memories and you think back on some of the stuff and you don't remember everything, but there's little keynotes and you're like, oh yeah, that happened. Like remember I'm thinking back to the old the downtown apartment. Remember when we were like, I'm like, hey, cool. You know, we're gonna set a table up top on the roof because we weren't supposed to go up on the roof, but we're like screwing. Like everybody was hanging out on the roof. So I'm gonna set it up all nice. We're gonna set a little patio set up here. I think it was the old living room table we had before we switched it out.
Yes.
And then the local bums that were just living around. I don't know who it was. Somebody went on the roof and they tossed the freaking thing and it hit your car, right?
Yeah, it hit my car. It's smashed the windshield and it took out like my side mirror, a passenger mirror. Yeah, and a few dents in the body, which was minor compared to the windshield.
Yeah,
the windshield was friggin' expensive to replace. Couldn't believe it. But mind you, it was just done at the Glass and Mirror shop, the only place that does glass.
Yeah, exactly.
So
well, and that's the thing. In small towns, you only have you have limited options.
Yeah,
but yeah, some of those vehicles they're pretty pricey when it comes to glass. I just remember, like, motherfucker, they threw the table off.
Right, it was so random. We were just chilling out, playing some video games, right? And all of a sudden, hear this big smash. Well, what the hell was that, right? And go look outside, and like, oh my god, look at the windshield, just completely destroyed, man. Oh my god! And we actually went up to the roof, and we actually seen somebody running off the roof and freaking jumping off the buildings. Like,
there was a couple times. I remember one time we were all out there. I think we were just hanging out, having some beverages, and then all of a sudden, some random showed up, and he's like, "Oh, hi, I'm so and so," and I'm like, "You got to get the fuck out of here."
Yeah,
we don't know you,
right?
And then I was like, I thought about it after that because I walked him through the place and I let him use the stairs. I'm like, fuck, he walked through our place and like now he knows all the stuff that we have there. So I was like, I should have just made him come down the way he came. And then his buddies tried getting they were yelling at us from the ground in the back alley.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys want to go? But it's funny because the guy I let through, he like rejoined up with them. He's like, whoa, guys, like just don't like. So I think, you know, because we were nice to him, he didn't, you know, egg his buddies on. It was just like he actually de-escalated the situation.
Yeah.
Freaking
crazy times, man.
Oh yeah, we could sit here. We could be on a podcast for the next 3 hours talking about nostalgic stuff but you know, it goes to show that these are the things that form us as people, and this is, you know, it's a fraction of who we are, but it's also what built us. It builds that foundation. That's kind of where we went ahead and, you know, became who we are, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too to see, you know, how people are. And I feel like, because I think I had somebody ask me one time, like, well, have you always been like this, like silly, giddy, whatever? And it's like, yeah, for the most part. I think I've always been kind of I definitely play it up more on videos. Like I can, and that's why I always say caricature, because it's me, but you make it a little bit bigger. Like I'm not like over the top sometimes, but I don't feel like I'm over the top. But there's times where it's like, you're gonna Monroe the shit out of it a little bit.
Yeah. And you're doing a great job at it too.
Well, and same with yourself. Like you're like, just the way you chat with people and stuff like that. You've been that same person since we started. Evolved. we grow and change, but you're still that genuine person that met in grade 6, through and through.
Yeah.
And what else was I thinking? I was actually where my brain squirreled to as I was saying that. I just remember the time, was it last summer when we stopped in and seen you?
Yes. Yeah, that was so random. My boss was like, "You actually know those people?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I explained him, friend from back home, from years. Showed him your stickers.
Yeah.
You gave me some stickers. Yeah.
I was like, who are these random people yelling at you?
Yeah, like just barges in like so loud and boisterous. Like, oh my god, it was a real surprise for sure.
Well, we were driving through, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, should we go? I'm like, let's stop. Like, let's just randomly. I didn't even know if you were at work or anything like that. There was no prior planning. It was like game time decision.
Yeah.
We're driving by. Let's make a detour. I didn't even know where your store was. So I'm like, okay, navigate through, and then it's like walk in, and then luckily you were at the counter, because if you were like hiding in the back someplace, that would have been an awkward conversation with your boss.
Yes, it would have been for sure. Yeah. I was just thinking about that day earlier today, actually. I was like, I wonder if he's going to bring that up.
That's the nice thing about this podcast is I go in with like guideposts, I guess, is the big thing. Like I come in, I'm like, here's an idea. And I'll be honest, this one I had less guideposts to work off of. I knew we were going to talk about Twitch and social media. Because I feel like a big part of what I talk about on here is social media and how it influences life and how it changes things, how it affects things, either just our lives in general, but even through work relationships or just like work in general. Being in the emergency services side of things, being in the oil field, like there's other areas I can tie it into, because I find it kind of intriguing meeting people and interacting, and the doors it opens up. That wouldn't have been there before, because you took that chance to put yourself out there. So that's where like I like opening up that conversation. That seems to be like one of the key threads of it. But I knew we were going to talk about that, and then also too, it's like, well, frick, with the shit. What the fuck old are we now? With all the years of history, I'm going to try and put a number to it. I'm like, okay, we were. Well, it's been 20 years, over 20 years, 25.
Pretty close to 25.
Fuck.
I was. I'm pretty sure I was still 10 when I first met you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, because I'm trying to think. Yeah. So more than that, like.
And I'll be 30. I'll be 37 this year. So.
Same. We're crouching up. Cole already beat us to the punch. He's in July, and then I'm next month, and then
yeah.
So yeah, and I was just sitting there. I'm like, how many years? And I'm like, holy fuck. But I guess the more important thing is, do you feel that old? Like, do you feel okay? I feel when I was younger, you'd think of somebody who was almost 40, you're like, wait, fuck, they're old.
Yeah, I do feel old. Because of like the lack of sleep is definitely one thing. I'm gaining weight.
Okay.
Yeah, that those are two things I definitely notice. I mean, as far as like personality goes, maybe I've gotten a little bit stricter because I'm technically the safety guy for work, right? So Yeah, I kind of flex my opinions a little bit more.
You need a safety pickle.
Right? Yes. Need a safety pickle.
And there's definitely things that we change, and I feel myself personally, I like my 30s better than my 20s. I feel like my 20s were not necessarily a train wreck, but I don't know. I feel like I kind of came into my own after 30.
Yeah. Yeah, same
Um,
here.
but
100%.
I think it kind of goes back to the whole thing of, we were the types of ones that were like, we were excited to get out of school. Like there's some people that, the term gets thrown around, peaked in high school.
Yeah.
The people that do, like, the further they get away from school, the more anxious they get about life, because they're like, that was the pinnacle. Whereas the ones that were picked on and bullied in school seem, as time goes on, I don't know, like a fine wine, we get better with age.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Except for, like you said, the lower back pain and the freaking lack of
Yeah.
sleep.
Mm-hmm.
All I see with me, I remember 29 quite vividly, because when I worked running power tongs, when I was working at EdCon, I would eat like garbage, because obviously I was on call. I was on the road all the time. I could eat I had a box of granola bars behind the seat, and I would just eat those, and okay, cool, I'm fine. When I was working up in Rainbow Lake, so at 29, I was just like, I was eating relatively the same, kind of more snacky type food, granola bars, chocolate bars, and there'd be meals in there too, but my
Right.
snacks consisted of more so that stuff. And then I got to the point where I was like, I don't know why I have no energy. Like, I just, no energy whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to, like, get more strict, not super strict, but I had to, like, clean up what I was eating. I had to, like, cut out a lot of the sugary processed stuff. And once I made that shift, I found that I was starting to feel better. My energy came back just by making that shift. And I remember talking to my dad about it. He's like, well, you're not that old. He's like, you're not even 30 yet. I'm like, I know, but it's not like when you're in your younger days, like when you're in your early 20s, mid 20s, freaking you could eat a Snickers bar and drink a Red Bull, and you'll be good enough. At 35, forget it. Like, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm just gonna curl up in a ball and die here.
Right, man. Yeah, it's such a big difference, being as old as we are now compared to 10 years ago. Yeah. Definitely not as flexible as we were.
and not to mention, I don't drink a whole pile. There's sometimes, but I don't drink a whole pile like I used to. But the 3-day hangovers, man, like, those are the fucking worst.
Yeah. Yes. So, like, when I go out and drink, I make sure I have like a few days clear, so I can at least recover a little bit decently, so I can get back to work. Right. So, yeah, I don't drink as much as as I used to. I've never really been much of a drinker anyway, but it's a lot less now than it was, for sure.
We had our moments. I wouldn't say, there was a time where we were kind of bar starring it up a little bit, but that it was a short period of time. Like, I think it was.
Yeah. When I was DJing, like, people would tip me with drinks.
Yeah.
And it'd be like a long weekend, Friday night, and after the bar, someone is having a party, and hey, Corey, you want to come out and hang out with us? Oh, sure, I got nothing else going on, so there we go, partying until freaking 5, 6 in the morning.
Yeah, the sun's coming up. It's like, shit, I fucked up.
Yeah.
I'd say the one thing that we've kept, like, our generation more so, like, even too, and I'll bring it up with, even though we're older, I think personality wise, you kind of alluded to that already, is our personality is still very much young at heart. Yeah. I feel older generation, there was no cartoons, there was no, fun, there was no video games, there was none of this stuff that was really a thing on our radar of our, dads, uncles, whoever, older cousins, people that, were kind of in that 40 range when we were, in our teenage years. But now, I mean, like your backdrop, you got, well, to the people who can actually see it on YouTube, your backdrop, you got the pop dolls, you got the Pikachu peeking out of the corner there.
Yeah, you got the Ric Flair.
Oh, woo!
Yeah, and more Hot Wheels along this entire wall. So, yeah, and they're all Batmobiles. That's the other thing. They're all Batmobiles. Yeah.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
Right?
I'm Batman. I'm Batman competition.
Oh man,
that's the greatest thing. Like I said, we've kept that youthfulness, and even too, like I said, just getting into the hobbies and stuff we do. Like you said, or yourself. You're playing video games, interacting with people in that way. Yeah. I'm making a jackass of myself in videos for people's entertainment, like dance monkey,
dance monkey.
Steve, where's your pickle?
And it's great, man. You're doing freaking phenomenal. Like I always knew that you would do something amazing, and you're doing it right now. So and like it's big kudos to you, man. Big kudos for sure.
I appreciate that. I felt that. I felt a little tug on my heartstring there. I'm like, aw.
Yeah. Well, I mean it, man.
I appreciate that. I lost my train of thought. No, I'm definitely choking up a little bit here.
I'm sorry.
It's all good. We're living in the moment. It's just breathe through it. But no, and I think that's the awesome thing, and I'm seeing it from the sidelines, and also too, I think the big thing I've looked at, and I said, true friends, you never lose that, and that's one thing I'm confident. Even though like I mentioned earlier, we don't talk a whole heck of a lot, but when we do, even this podcast, like for all the listeners out there, and even just for ourselves, and just because I have to say it, like we don't talk that regularly, but boom, like we just picked up
just from the last time I seen you, pretty much. Yeah.
Like even when we stopped and we seen you at the store, picked right up. So it could be a month, or it could be a day, it could be a month, it could be a year, and you find those people that you have that true connection with, and distance, time, that stuff doesn't seem to be as I'm going to say important. That's not really the word I'm looking for. It's not as impactful. Some people, they're like, okay, well, I haven't seen so-and-so forever. They're kind of faded into my memory. Mm-hmm. When you get to that level of, how close we, nurtured our friendship growing up, and through everything that we went through, and not only just being friends growing up together, and freaking our happy times, our sad times, helping each other through our teenage breakups and crap like that, that stuff just, it never leaves you.
No.
So
no,
super appreciate you.
Yeah, I super appreciate you. 100%.
Now everybody's crying out there.
Getting all happy. I will say this, man. I celebrated my 16 years with my company just last week.
That's amazing.
Isn't that crazy? And it was you, man. It was you who gave me the lead and told me to apply for that job at that time. And I look at it now, it's freaking crazy. I'm the safety guy at my store. So
there's been times I've thought about that too, and I feel like me and Vic have talked about it, and it's like you're still with the same company, and it all started because I walked next door to get fucking parts or gloves or whatever I went in that day, and they're like, hey, do you know of anybody good who would be interested in a job like this? And I'm like, I know a guy, and you were the one. Like, I didn't think of anybody else. You were the first and only person I really thought of for that role. You went in, you did your interview, boom, you got hired on.
Yeah.
And like you said, 16 years, like even my longest job to date was 10 years. Like I spent 10 years running Tongs.
Yeah.
And like So that's amazing, you know, the longevity and you know, stuff that you've been there. And yeah, it is kind of neat. Like I said, it is neat to think about that. And I'm glad I was able to help you out with that. Not at the time, you know, it's like because I like the guys that worked there, so I'm like, okay, I want to help them out, but I also wanted to help you out too. And it was kind of it was like, okay, well, I mean, if you're there for, you know, when you help people get a job, you're like, okay, cool. If they're there for a little while, you know, never would I have pictured if you would ask me then that you'd still be there 16 years later. I would have been like, fuck off.
Right. And man, I struggled at first, and took a lot of learning, that's for sure. And learned a lot from, you know, the people that I worked with and the managers that have come and gone, and learned the ins and outs of the business, what to do and what not to do. And it's still, the business is ever changing, and there's always something new popping up, another thing that we have to sign off, another thing we have to check, another thing. It's endless, and somebody's got to be there to do it.
Well, and even like the industry in general, and without getting into specifics, like you just think of the transformation overall.
Yes.
And you know, I think that just shows that a lot of businesses would change. And I'm just gonna use as an example, think of Blockbuster Video. Like Blockbuster Video, huge everywhere. Every major city had one, and all of a sudden there's like one, I think, left in Alaska or something like that. Like they're still out there. They're still out there. I mean, it's about the time right now where a lot of them are about to turn into a Spirit of Halloween.
Right. Yeah, I think there's one in Alaska, and I think there's one in Oregon,
I think so.
Yeah.
But I think the one in Oregon is privately owned. I think it was a repurpose. I think somebody bought it. I don't think it's like an actual Blockbuster. I think it's like a family that bought it and are running it as a video store. But it has all the same, like, it's basically like a Blockbuster without that like official title.
Right.
But I could absolutely be wrong on that too. Maybe I'm just conflating stories that I've heard over the years. But
the information's out there.
Somebody will Google it, or they'll make a TikTok on it.
So, right. It's like, these guys said this, and I'm here to prove them wrong.
That's how you get people going. You state your opinion, or you know, you're like, hey, this is what this is, and people so much. And actually, I'll give you that advice. You want to make a good TikTok video? Tag a location, spell the name wrong. Just like a simple typo, like just a simple typo, like like if you were to use I don't know, I'm gonna pick hang on, now
let's say Edmonton for example.
Edmonton. If you put two O's, like it was Edmonton. You would get so many people like, that's not how you spell Edmonton.
Right? Or spell it with I's instead of O's. Or
that would be Edmonton. Now that's the one right there. Edmonton. There
Edmonton.
You go.
Yeah.
Edmonton.
There we go.
That one there, people will be like, that's not how you spell it. Well, I say it Edmonton. No, it's Edmonton. Yeah, like that right there. People love being right. People love being right, and they like proving people wrong. And there's so many creators that have done that where they'll purposely do that shit just to get people going. And even videos I've done, I've had videos blow up because I mispronounced the name of a place, and people are like, that's not how you pronounce it. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, the information's accurate, that the name, like, people know what I'm talking about. But whatever. If you want to correct me, I will try to do better next time. I'll try not to be as lispy.
Right. It's the same thing with a live stream too. Like, you could be, you know, talking about whatever and trying to spew facts, but you know, I always try to catch myself, and it's like I always have to. Lately, I've been saying, it's like, okay, well, I may be wrong, but right? So I always try to kind of elaborate, because more than likely someone in chat will know more than I do about something, and whatever it may be, and say, oh no, it's actually It's like, Oh, okay. Well, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that with me and chat, and thanks for correcting me. So, yeah, I definitely see that on my side of things too. So,
humility is a big thing, and I think if we can accept the fact that we don't know everything, and
yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
and there's times too where people will adamantly say, like, because I actually had one guy pop into my TikTok live the other night, and he was talking about fallen firefighters. That's what he was saying. Oh, I know this happened, and I'm like, oh, no, dude. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's been we've lost people. There was 2 up to date right now. We've had 2 fatalities in Canada due to wildfire. There was a pilot in the Northwest Territories, and most recently here there was the young guy who passed away in Jasper.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is what it is. I'm like, because I would know. This is something I'm very dialed into. And he's like, oh, I knew somebody got burned. And I'm like, no. So anyway, it was just one of those things where I knew for a fact that one there was like no wiggle room. And so when you know what you're talking about, you can basically be like, no, this is what it is. You
mm-hmm.
can argue with me, but I know the information. And also too, I guess the thing of, depending on the vibe of your stream, is that really the rabbit hole you want to go down? Because I don't know if you get it on Twitch so much, if people come in and just try and like
just kind of just troll you. It doesn't happen very much, but I mean it does happen. I mean there's people in my community that will sure troll me, but I know that they're just doing it to mess around, sorry. But then there's also people out there that do it, but do it maliciously.
Yeah.
And they definitely want to try and get a rise out of you. They want to get a rise out of people in chat. And ultimately they're just like, oh, I just want to, piss these people off enough just to get myself banned, right?
Yeah.
Is ultimately what will happen for sure in the end. If they push my buttons enough, for sure. I've had people come in and say just off the wall weird shit. Like weird shit. Like saying something like, oh, I'm gonna watch this and whip my dick out at the same time, or some shit like that. And then it's like none of my like mods, right? And they're not doing anything, and they're like, okay, wait, you guys waiting for me to say something? I was expecting one of my mods to be like, delete message, and time them out, right? But I didn't initiate anything like that. And one of my mods was like, hey, that guy was like really weird. I was like, yeah, dude, if like anything weird like that happens, like, feel free to do something about it, because it will definitely throw off, my vibe and the vibe of the stream. And it's just going to turn heads, right? And just mainly focus on that one person. Takes the focus off the stream and makes everybody like, whoop, what is this guy talking about?
Well, it throws off the whole vibe. And I've had people, usually what I do, TikToks, they play hard and fast with their community guidelines stuff. They'll filter certain words that don't make any sense at all. Like somebody will, and it'll ghost entire comments. Like the comment will not appear whatsoever, even if there's no key, because I don't put any keywords to be filtered. And it's like, people are like, why are you not responding? And so that's where I try to read every message, and I'm sure you do the same, so people know that you've acknowledged it. And I had actually Vic bug me one time. She's like, people see the comments. I'm like, I know, but I have to say it because there's going to be times when I don't see a comment because I just don't see it in general. Like it just did not come through. But then people will come through and, there'll be some off the wall shit. And some of it, you're like, it's pretty, they're making jokes and they're just trying to like, they're being really stupid about it. And it's like, haha, that's actually kind of funny. And then there's other ones where they're like, yeah, it's some like really weird BS. And usually what I'll do is I just won't even like, I'll read it, but I won't speak to it. I won't even like acknowledge that I read the comment, and I'll just continue on. Because I find for the most part, if you're not giving them the rise, they just get bored and then they move on.
They'll just move on. Yeah.
But then you also get other ones too that are very persistent. And that's where, having and I know I haven't had like an in-depth conversation with my mods, because my mods are kind of like a patchwork of people, because usually I just self-moderate for the most part. It's the fact that, okay, I've had some lives that were like when I was doing like wildfire information.
Yeah.
I did like the last one I did, like when the night Jasper was on fire, I had like 300 people in my live at one point.
I've seen that. Yeah.
So like it was like, holy crap, like this is a lot. And you're getting a lot of repeat questions. And for the most part, I just like when I was doing the wildfire updates last year, I wanted my mods like, just help me answer some questions, or like, you know, if some people are spamming the chat, then mute them, because, you know, everybody's asking questions, and I want to do this in an orderly fashion. So I guess too, like, because you've got a Discord server.
Yes.
And then I'm sure you've got, because from some of the Discord servers I've seen, especially people who stream and whatnot, I'm sure you've got a spot where it's like, okay, here's the mod chat, so you guys can all kind of interact and, you know.
Yeah. And but the thing is like my Discord is kind of separate from Twitch, because there's only like a handful of moderators in my Discord that are moderators for my Twitch channel.
Gotcha.
I maybe have like 8 or 10 moderators right now for my Twitch channel, but a lot of them haven't been by recently, and for some of them in the past, you know, I just had to you know, remove them from the moderator position, just to you know, just due to the frequency that they would come by to the stream.
Yeah.
Right. I had a moderator in Iceland, and it was very hard for her to come by because of the time zone difference. Right. I stream at 7 p.m. our time, and she way over there, and it's like 2 or 3 in the morning for them.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a lot. Yeah, it's definitely a lot for sure to really consider like everybody's time zone. So I try to keep everybody within the continent, like North America. So I got people from, like, I got a moderator from Montreal, I got a moderator in Florida, and one in Oklahoma, and those 3 in particular are the ones that come by the most and help out the most, or be a part of the stream the most. So, but those 3 guys are also members of the moderator team on the Discord, and it's not really, we don't talk very much. We just know who comes in and who leaves.
Okay.
And if there was ever anything that I wanted to bring up, then I would. But lately, I don't really have anything in the works as far as plans for future streams. I just plan on just sticking to the schedule and continuing to grow the channel, and possibly even growing the Discord as well. Because I try to get people that follow me and who stream to join my Discord, so I can come and support their channel. Right? It's like, okay, if you follow me and you want me to follow you back because you're a streamer, join my Discord, and then I'll ultimately follow you back. Because if you don't, I mean, if you show me some loyalty, if you keep coming back and you don't join the Discord, maybe I might consider dropping you a follow. Because like back when I started, it was definitely follow for follow. I'll hit you back. But apparently I learned that that's against Twitch TOSs totally. And they want what's
organic.
the word?
They want organic. Yeah, they want organic growth, because that's one thing that happens on TikTok. They have, I don't see them so much anymore, but they used to have grow lives, and I think they're still out there. I just don't pay attention to them. And it was the same thing. It's just people going to a live stream, and it was just like, you know, everybody follow everybody, and they would shout out whoever was sending gifts and whatever. So then, but usually those accounts would go down because it's fake engagement, and they want organic growth. Yeah,
and I got caught up in that. There was a lot of streamers out there that, you know, were sitting on 50 to 75 viewers, and just tell them in the chat, everybody go and follow each other and support each other and check each other out and da 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 da, and everybody would follow suit. But at the end of the day, will those people really follow through? You know?
The thing is, they'll follow you, but are they? And a lot of times, I found with the grow lives, people would follow you, so you do the whole follow for follow, and then if you would check it out like a week later, 80% unfollowed you because they just basically had enough, and then they to go live, and then that's all it was for. People were just boosting their accounts so they could go live, and I found there was so many accounts that would do it that way. But the other side of it too is you've got a huge following, or you got a bunch of followers that don't engage with you at all. So then I don't know if it impacts so much on Twitch, but I know definitely on TikTok, if you got a bunch of people following you that aren't engaging with your content whatsoever, your stuff's just not gonna get pushed out. You want to kind of build that audience, engage with that audience, and then just kind of work it from there.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
So that's the problem with the whole follow for follow thing. But I absolutely get that. But I guess going back to the whole moderator thing, I guess just having a conversation with your mods. So that's where it kind of goes back to. Yeah, I haven't had to have like a full. It's not like I've got a like separate chat with all my mods because they're all kind of like people that I typically interact with, and they kind of get to know. But basically, I pretty much just give them mod status because like I like you. We hang out. We're on lives together all the time. Here's the power. You can, and if something goes squirrely, they'll take care of something that they know. But for the most part, I tell people like, don't worry about it because I can handle my stuff. Unless it's like there's like 100 people in here and I can't keep up with the comments and somebody's going, being insulting, then it's like deal with it. But yeah,
I'm the same way. I do self-moderate myself too. I actually created a separate account and I use that as a moderator now. So, and
it's a good way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I just have them on my phone, and it counts as a viewer, so it's all good.
One thing I like about your Discord, and I did want to get in. I don't want to go. Well, we don't. Otherwise, we'll be on here for forever. But we'll definitely. The thing I like about you and what you've done with your Discord, kind of like what you mentioned. People following from Twitch, is you do hype people up. You do boost people. Like that's one thing you were very on top of. And like you were, I'm like, I'm still learning Discord, and I'm always like, I'm gonna learn it a bit more, and then I'm like, I'll do it later.
Right? Because Discord would be like, it'd be really helpful for things like this. To be honest, you can do. Do you know like Microsoft Teams?
Yeah,
it's kind of like that, right? And you can do pretty much everything, like have voice calls and FaceTime chats like these, right? And it's very cool. It's a very cool platform. I really like Discord for sure for that.
I had somebody helping me out actually. Like my Discord server's kind of built up. Like he helped me, RFK Gaming. He helped me set up. He actually set up a bot to where every time I post a TikTok, it automatically uploads it over there.
Oh yeah. I don't have any bots like that, but I've been thinking about probably implementing some of those too. For when actually I have one that for me that goes live when I go on Twitch, but for as far as post goes for like TikTok or whatever, I don't have anything like that.
Well, and it's something that the tools are there, and I think the thing with me is, if I'm going to do Discord, I'm going to have to like dive into it, and I just haven't had the time. But I think it's one of those things that as I go forward, I mean, that's where I'll pick your brain and, pick RFK's again too, because he did a lot, and then I just kind of fell off. I told him kind of what I wanted to do, and he was helping me build it. And he's like, well, but you have to tell me what you want. I'm like, I don't even know what I want. Because the problem is there's so many things you can do with it that I'm like, I don't like, what can I do? I don't know.
Where do I start?
Well, like, I don't know, freaking. So navigating that was.
One of my moderators, he's really, really good with Discord, and he showed me some things and how to do some things. But if anything, if I need like a bot setup, I can always just go to him and be like, hey, and then we just hop on Discord call and be like, okay, what do you want? Like, okay, well, this is kind of what I had in mind. Like, oh, okay. So and kind of go from there. So yeah, it's really nice to have people like that on your side.
Absolutely. And it's all that teamwork and collaboration.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm gonna plug some of my support. Something I started with the last week's podcast, aka the one I did last night. So TikTok has subscribers, so I've got 2 subscribers, and I'm gonna try to do this thing that people who support me by subscribing, whether it be here or eventually on Twitch or YouTube or wherever. I want to give people a quick shout out. So supporters on TikTok, my subs are Wendy, or at is wendy.over.ca, and the other one is at pickle.i.is. And I know she subscribed because because of the whole Pickle Steve thing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Because I'm I got to figure out a way to shout out and kind of get back to people who support me in that. Yeah. Go a little bit more above and beyond, everybody else. I mean, I appreciate everybody else's support, just with the follows and even to live gifts or anything like that, anything that helps, because I just take that stuff and that's where I reinvest into cameras and audio equipment and apps, that helps make this podcast possible, amongst other things. So Corey, plug all your socials. Where can people find you?
You can find me at twitch.tv/super_sour_punch. You can find me on X, and it's just Super Sour Punch, all one word. TikTok, I believe you can find it under the one with underscores, but Super Sour Punch, all one word. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Instagram, I'm not very active on Instagram, but you can find me on Instagram. But yeah, mainly on Twitch. Definitely go check out the channel. I'd love to have you.
When do you typically stream to? What's your streaming schedule like currently right now? I mean, that's subject to change, but
Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.
Perfect. And then do you want to plug the Discord server too?
Definitely feel free to join the Discord. The Punch Bowl, if you stream or whatever else you would like to promote, there's definitely space for that, for whatever you have to offer, whether it's streaming, art, food, YouTube, whatever you do, we'd love to see it. So there is a link for my Discord right on my Twitch page. If you ever come by the Twitch streams, it pops up in there regularly. So definitely go and check it out for sure. A great community, sitting at 384 members right now. But yeah, definitely go and check it out. Love to have you.
So amazing, though. Appreciate you having on. Any final thoughts?
No.
Don't
not really. Don't eat yellow snow. Yeah, keep grinding, man. Just keep grinding.
You too, man. No, definitely.
Yeah.
We'll be definitely seeing more of each other. I think eventually I want to do some podcasts where it's just gonna basically be hanging out, kind of like a live stream. Not so much the Q&A side of things, but this gives people a good introduction to you and your platform. And I mean, like I said, just people helping people. You'll share this out to some people that in your community, be like, hey, I was on a podcast, and then people will find me. And same thing, people who subscribe to me or follow me on my socials and watch the podcast will find you. And it's just people helping people.
Yes, absolutely. I
can get this thing to work. There we go. I can't hear the audio, but anyway, appreciate everybody for tuning in. This was some more Blazing Banter with Fire Steve. Hopefully you have a great rest of your evening, great day, whatever time it is, wherever you're at. Appreciate you coming in, listening to the podcast, and have a good one, everyone.